The military conflict in Ukraine continues while the international community works to help civilians whose lives have been turned upside down. Jason Jones is doing just that. The Vulnerable People Project has volunteers at the Poland-Ukraine border who deliver food and supplies and carry out evacuation missions. And joining me now is Jason Jones, who recently just returned back from the Ukraine border. Jason, great to see you as always. Before we talk about Ukraine, I want to talk about something else very disturbing here in our nation's capital, if you don't mind. The five aborted babies that were discovered in an apartment here in D.C. Talk to us more about that and your reaction.
Yeah, you know, I was on the border of Ukraine when that news story broke, and that story broke my heart. And at the time, we were being inundated with messages from our supporters and friends commending, you know, my team and our work for our courage. And I remember thinking that this organization, POW, and these young activists who made this horrible discovery, they're really they're the most courageous people I know. They're just very brave people. And with the work that we do around the world at the Vulnerable People Project, today is the anniversary of the Baron Massacre in Chinese-occupied East Turkestan, where the CCP rounded up countless hundreds of Uyghur women and forced them to have abortions. And with the hell that Russia has unleashed on Ukraine, or the sorrow that is still unfolding in Afghanistan, the world needs a city on a hill. The world needs a nation state to look up to as a shining example in defending liberty and standing for human dignity. And our nation will never be that city on a hill until the dignity of women and the beauty and dignity of the child in the womb is protected under law.
Oh, Jason, I want to talk now about Ukraine and your experience at the border and what you saw there.
Yeah, the first thing that I was overwhelmed by the response of the people of Poland, the government, but really it's the people, private initiatives that every Ukrainian refugee that makes it to Poland will have a host family. My team, we were at a McDonald's. We had a young woman who had come to the border after 3 days of traveling with her 1-year-old, and she needed to get to Germany. So we brought her back to Warsaw and put her on a plane. On our way back to Warsaw, we stopped at a McDonald's to get food for them. And there was what I thought was a really upscale sort of flea market with great vendors and all kinds of wonderful food. But it was the people of Poland had set up a place to give free food and comfort to refugees as they were making their way to Warsaw from the border. The people of Poland deserve the Nobel Prize. It's really just something else. I guess there's no nation in the world that has more empathy than the people of Poland. So the people of Poland are leading the way and doing a great job of caring for the refugees. But tragically, the great job that Poland is doing is, I think, blinding the world to the hell that is on the other side of the border. Logistics and the distribution of food and medical support to the places most in need in Ukraine has become almost impossible. And so I'm glad that we went there on the ground, because we were able to see firsthand these logistical problems and then partner with other organizations to solve those problems.
Yeah, and can you talk about that? I know that you're doing evacuations. How is that going so far?
You know, the evacuations they're going well. We have one team that's going to some of the most hazardous places in Ukraine to rescue some of the most vulnerable communities. And they were doing this without body armor. We were able to find body armor while we were there and provide level 4 flak jackets and Kevlars for these teams. The evacuations are going forward every day. But for the millions who are being evacuated, there's tens of millions, of course, that are going to not be leaving Ukraine. And they're going to need food, they're going to need medical care, and their safety is going to need to be protected. And what we discovered also, thanks to a religious community that had 12 convents across Ukraine, they shared with us this problem that young women are being put on the trains in the east and sent west alone. And when they get to Lviv, there are Chechen and Albanian sex trafficking gangs that are promising these young women safe passage, but then are being caught in trafficking. And so, at the behest of a religious community in Ukraine, with a partnership with a medical tech company, an American tech company that set up a logistics operation to care for their employees' families, we've partnered with them, and they already were providing 400 beds for refugees. We added another, Vulnerable People Project added another 400 beds for girls between the ages of 13 and 19. When they make it to Lviv, we quickly, we have folks that take them from where they're exposed and vulnerable. We bring them to shelters, and our goal is to add another 1,200 beds in the next 2 weeks.
Well, Jason, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for what you do. God bless you, and God bless your work.
Thank you, Tracy. God bless you.